में इन्वेस्ट करो. First question, India is so big, Indian markets are doing so well. Why should I even think about it? So Sahil, why don't you answer that question? And then Mahesh, the same question for you. मैं एक normal Indian आदमी हूँ, why should I think of putting my money abroad?
Right. Thanks, Varun. So मैं हिंदी और English mix रखता हूँ.
Yes, please.
So as you rightly said, Indian market has given very good return in last couple of years. So US में क्यों invest करें? So I talk to a lot of investors, I talk to a lot of people, and there is, first of all, there's a very positive sentiment towards investment in the US market. I tell you some of the key reasons. So I think first reason is लोगों को एक चीज समझ में आ गई है कि पैसा सिर्फ एक जगह नहीं रखना है. Diversification is the key. There's a very good saying, do not keep all your eggs in a single basket. So I think this is one of the biggest reasons people understand that यार stock में भी invest करना है तो हमको large, mid, small में और across sectors invest करना है. So a few years ago, I think it was not possible for Indians to invest in the US market. But I think now that they've got this opportunity, they've realized कि यार क्यों सिर्फ Indian market में रखे? Why not diversify across geography? I think that is a brilliant idea because let's say anything happens I wish nothing happens in Indian economy, but let's assume, so we need to be ready. Risk management is a very important part of investment. So that's where I think agar Indian economy में कुछ होता है तो you should have some diversification, some allocation in the US market. So one of the key growth driver I think is diversification, and apart from that there are quite a few factors. So I tell you second very important factor. Second factor ये है कि लोगों को एक चीज समझ में आ गई है that the future is digital. लोगों को ये चीज और स्पेशली आफ्टर कोविड ये जो डिजिटल थीम है ये ऑलमोस्ट फास्ट फॉरवर्ड हो गई है. आई थिंक 4-5 years फास्ट फॉरवर्ड हो गई है. तो लोगों को ये चीज समझ आ गई कि यार ऐसी कंपनी में इन्वेस्ट करें जो एक्चुअली बिजनेस डिस्टर्ब कर रही है, द रियल डिस्टर्बर्स और ग्लोबल कंपनी. तो आई थिंक लुक एट फेसबुक. 13-14 साल पहले फेसबुक एग्जिस्ट नहीं करता था एंड आई थिंक आज ऑलमोस्ट वर्ल्ड की 1/3 पॉपुलेशन सोशल मीडिया यूज कर रही है. That's crazy, isn't? I mean, just think about it. It's crazy, right? The way they have disrupted. Look at Apple. I mean, 13-14 years ago, लोगों को स्मार्टफोन पता नहीं था. But look at the way Apple has disrupted the business. Look at Amazon. So ये companies, in fact, there are a lot of examples. Look at Netflix. So इन कंपनीज ने जिस तरह से बिजनेस डिस्टर्ब किया है, तो एक चीज लोगों को समझ में आ गई कि यार ऐसी कंपनी में इन्वेस्ट करो जो फ्यूचर टेक्नोलॉजीज में इन्वेस्ट कर रही है. Be it your big data, be it your artificial intelligence, machine learning, digital, your advanced analytics, इस तरह की कंपनी. तो ये सेकंड फैक्टर है कि लोगों को डिसरप्टिव टेक्नोलॉजीज में कंपनीज दैट आर डिसरप्टिव द बिजनेस, उन कंपनीज में इन्वेस्ट करना है जो कि फ्यूचर टेक्नोलॉजीज एंड ऑफ कोर्स सबको समझ में आ गया कि द फ्यूचर इज डिजिटल. एंड ऑफ कोर्स देयर आर कपल ऑफ मोर रीजन. आई थिंक वन ऑफ द इम्पोर्टेंट रीजन इज कि risk management, like I said, is very important. So these are the global giants. We are talking about top 100 companies of US, which are, I think, essentially, among top 100 companies of the world. तो लोगों को एक चीज समझ में आ गई कि यार इन कंपनीज में पैसा इन्वेस्ट करेंगे तो हमारा रिस्क भी बहुत कम है. ऐसा नहीं है ना कि रातों रात फेसबुक कांट गो अवे, राइट? एप्पल कांट गो अवे. तो एक रिस्क एस्पेक्ट को भी देखें तो इट्स नॉट जस्ट अबाउट रिटर्न. बाय द वे, रिटर्न की अगर बात करें so look at the kind of return these companies have generated. They are not just business disruptors, but from the return point of view also, if you see, they're amazing. So risk अच्छा, return बहुत अच्छा है, risk कम है क्योंकि they are the global players. And I think one more reason I would say is Warren Buffett जो बोलते हैं कि business moat or the economic moat, right? कि क्या होता है कि हम किसी भी कंपनी में इन्वेस्ट करते हैं तो एक जो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर जो होता है वो है कॉम्पिटिटिव एडवांटेज, या वॉरेन बफेट की टर्म्स में कहें तो इकोनॉमिक मोड. कि यार कंपनी में आज मैं इन्वेस्ट कर रहा हूँ तो लोगों का एक माइंडसेट ही होता है कि वो अगले 5 साल में कैसा करेगी या 10 साल में कैसा करेगी. उसके लिए सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर है कि कंपनी की कॉम्पिटिटिव स्ट्रेंथ कितनी है या उसका इकोनॉमिक मोड कितना है कि कोई उसको ब्रीच ना कर पाए. तो आई थिंक ये जो कंपनीज है, द लाइक्स ऑफ एप्पल, द लाइक्स ऑफ अमेजॉन, the likes of Facebook with its ecosystem of WhatsApp and Instagram, I think they have created a very thick economic moat around themselves. इतना strong competitive advantage है इनको. They are the global leaders in the world. So I think ये सारे factors हैं जो drive कर रहे हैं लोगों का interest towards the US investment.
Very interesting, Sahil. I'm going to, and I look at also the comments that people are saying. Somebody from Hong Kong says, hey, look, portfolio diversification, rupee depreciation. They're also saying, hey, look, the P's are better. And I really liked your concept of economic mode. But Mahesh, let's bring you in. Mahesh, for some of you who missed the introduction, is the CIO of Aditya Birla Asset Management Company. It's one of the largest asset managers in India, somebody whom I respect a lot. And so, Mahesh, over to you. Why should a normal Indian think about American exposure, right? And why? What's the rationale that you would give? Mahesh, I don't think we can hear you. Can we just project this?
Yeah, okay. Sorry for that.
No problem.
Yes, Sahil has already given us a very good description in terms of why one should have international exposure in one's portfolio. So, I mean, diversification is first reason, okay, where you would want to do that, because what we've seen is that, I mean, earlier we used to think that India is the growth market, right? The growing economy, fastest growing economy, the returns in Indian markets would be the best. So what we've seen is that even in the US developed markets, especially the NASDAQ, has been one of the best performing indices globally, right? So just to give statistics, in the last 10 years, the NASDAQ has given 20% return in US dollar. Nifty would have given around 8% in US dollar. I'm not suggesting that Nasdaq will continue to outperform Nifty, but I'm saying that there are other markets. Nasdaq is one component, but there are other global markets which can give potentially equal return or better returns. And for that reason, one needs to look at these markets, right, as an opportunity. Secondly, is that a lot of Indian investors, okay, are looking at kind of a dollar returns, because if you are going to send your kids, okay, for education abroad, aspirationally, Indians are now starting to. We've seen many of my friends and colleagues want their children to study abroad because there are a lot of opportunities which are there. So if that kind of an expense you're going to incur, then you would want to also hedge the currency risk. Even the returns might not be fantastic, but you never know how the currencies would behave. And while India, we are positive on Indian currency, the macro for India is very good, but things are uncertain, right? And we've seen India is still an emerging market, and there is always a fear about currency depreciation. So to hedge against that and to get dollar returns, one should look at the US market. I mean, NASDAQ or S&P or Dow, whatever it may be. So that's another consideration, I think, which investors should keep in mind for diversification into international markets. And the third important reason is that, see, आपको सब कुछ इंडिया में नहीं मिलेगा. Well, India is one of the most diversified markets among emerging economies, right? You've got all industries, unlike in some of the other emerging markets, which are more heavy probably into commodities, or Chinese market, which is more banking and financial, or the same or Hong Kong market, which is more real estate. India is a very diversified, but doesn't have much representation of emerging technologies or the emerging new generation businesses which are there, right? And to participate in some of these high growth businesses or the future businesses, I think US market, and more so index like NASDAQ, I think is the right index to look at. I mean, just to give an example, अभी आपने देखा होगा कि currently there is a huge shortage of semiconductors, right? Because of after the post-pandemic, there was a huge demand for semiconductors from various industries besides your traditional electronics and computers, auto sector. And there's not been any capacity. So there has been a huge demand-supply gap. Semiconductor prices have gone up. So supposing if you want to benefit out of that, right, the big move in the semiconductor, then what do you do? India, we don't have any semiconductor manufacturing company, right? So like NASDAQ, there is a company which is ASML, which is one of the largest semiconductor companies in the world. You can participate through that. That's one example. Apart from that, there are a lot of new technologies which are coming in. I mean, Sahil talked about digital, AI, cloud computing, but even biologics is again emerging field. I mean, India has been done phenomenally well in the pharmaceutical industry, in the API space, the formulation space. But if you really want to get into the biologics, there are very few companies over here, and that's the new, totally new. Path-breaking research which is happening in the pharmaceutical sector. So if you want to get exposure to the niche technologies, then you have to look at outside India. I mean, wherever they are.